Remember kids, don't try this at home. In my mid-teens, in Dave's mid-teens, not mine. Dave wrote the script, I read it. That's what happens on this channel. Welcome if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here and you've been watching this channel for ages, you're probably like, God damn, I wish I could get some more brain blaze in my life, spend some more time with Simon. Well, why not become a member of this channel? We do one live stream every week for non-members, and we also have a members live stream, which is even more excellent. Become a member today, why not? You'll love it. And if you don't, you can just cancel. I don't think you can get your money back though, so sorry about that. I don't make the rules, it's YouTube's rule. And also, I'll take the money. Before I discovered that if you arrived at a pub as part of a band, the people working behind the bar usually assumed you were old enough to drink, I was quite heavily involved in amateur radio. Although I have since made a full recovery, it did set me on a path of both adapting things so they did what they technically shouldn't, and building interesting gadgets from scratch. For example, I was once the proud owner of something called a Yaesu VX7R, which for those of you who have friends, I got no idea what that is a pretty snazzy amateur radio that allows you to transmit and receive on many frequencies. After plugging this radio into my computer and painstakingly analyzing the firmware, I discovered that it was possible to expand the capabilities of this radio so that it could receive many more frequencies. Some of these frequencies were quite boring, such as channels used for marine radios, aircraft radios, etc. Others, such as those used by the police and cordless telephones, were a bit more interesting. Whoa. Cordless telephones, like those old school cordless telephones that you could walk around your house with a big white thing on the end? Those were not secure? In fact, it was those capabilities that allowed me to discover that my next door neighbor was having an affair long before their partner did. Oh, shit, Dave. Anyway, I digress. The point I'm trying to make is that although awesome spy gadgets might seem to be the stuff of thrilling books and terrible movies, with a little know-how and a lot of Googling to fiddle out the fakes, you could theoretically make some pretty cool stuff from the comfort of your own desk. In today's episode, we'll take a look at some of them. Disclaimer, although everything contained within this video is technically possible, it may not be legal in your place of residence. We're at
I'm having a stroke up here.
We're at Brainblaze, accept no responsibility for any trouble that might arise from your own stupidity. This information is presented for entertainment purposes only. Subject to status, terms and conditions apply. Anyone from the radio back in the day? I guess P is still on the radio today, but it'd be like, get a credit card and you can get free money. Subject to status, no free money available. Terms and conditions apply. I always wonder what subject to status meant. Because for me, when I was a kid, status. Did you guys ever play the game of life and you could buy status symbols? It'd be like, you want a boat? That to me is what status meant. And so I'm like, wait, they're just like counting, when I was a kid, they're like counting how many boats you have, how many status symbols you have, so whether to give you a credit card. Which I guess they kind of do in a roundabout way, because they want to know how much money you make, right? Just before we continue with today's video, bit of a scary thought for you. Imagine you're just relaxing in your favorite cafe. You're using their free unencrypted Wi-Fi, because let's be honest, you're just like, ooh, free Wi-Fi, yes, please. You're browsing, you're checking your bank account, you're hunting for deals, all sorts of things. But look, here's the kicker. Everyone on that Wi-Fi can technically see what you're doing if they know where to look. Enter Surfshark. With Surfshark, all of your internet data is encrypted, making your sensitive info, like that bank account you're looking at, hidden from prying eyes, even on the sketchiest of networks. And don't even worry about the ads. Surfshark blocks those sneaky pop-ups and malware trying to creep onto your machine. And here's the beauty of it. You can share this privacy protection with the whole family. One Surfshark account covers unlimited devices, so your phone, laptop, tablet, and maybe your cat's tablet. I mean, who knows? You do you. Plus, with servers in over 100 locations, you can virtually travel anywhere in the world. Just tap a country and voila, there you go. Goodbye to those, sorry, this content's not available in your region messages. And if you need help, Surfshark has a friendly 24/7 support team waiting to assist, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. Right now, you can snag a special deal by visiting surfshark.com/blaze for 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. Get that deal, stay secure while you surf. Thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring, and now back to today's episode. Mobile phone signal jammer. Ever found yourself sitting on a train in the quiet zone just trying to get a few minutes peace before having to deal with the really rude, obnoxious people on the London Underground? Ever had that peace rudely disturbed by somebody who, despite all the signs, has decided to have an exceptionally loud mobile phone conversation just a few seats away from you? Sure. Doesn't fucking wind me up as much as people who think it's okay to listen to music without headphones. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? It's completely antisocial, and I think we should perhaps give you lethal injection. Actually, quite by accident, I was once that person for a couple of months. I worked once a week teaching adaptive technology at a school in Southampton. Naturally, having spent 6 hours working with children, I was always very keen to get to the pub as quickly as possible after work. You're goddamn right. After getting on the train bound for Havant, never heard of Havant, I took my phone and called a friend of mine who I was pretty sure would be available for a couple of years. Unfortunately, the telephone signal was particularly poor, and I had to speak in a voice a little louder than usual. About halfway through the call, an elderly gentleman reached over, tapped me on the shoulder, and asked if I could read. People not realizing Dave, who wrote this, is blind. God damn. I'd be like, no, I can't read. I'm blind, old man. Come on now. And the old man would be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Assuming that his advanced age was causing him to struggle with some small print and focused on my current task, I simply replied, no, sorry. Sighing deeply in frustration, the man got up and left. That's odd, I thought, and I continued with my conversation. It wasn't until he returned with a member of train staff who asked me kindly to stop using my mobile phone in the quiet area that I realized exactly what his problem was. Anyway, had this elderly gentleman had access to a few simple electrical components, a soldering iron and a 9-volt battery, he could have brought my conversation to an inconvenient halt. Back then, mobile phones didn't have access to as many frequencies as they do now. I believe at this point, they were still working with a 2G connection, possibly even GPRS.
You made those words up.
Oh my god, back in the day. I was somewhere the other day and my phone said like, oh, maybe it wasn't GPRS, maybe it was E. And I'm like, what the? There's not even 3G here? Where the fuck are we? So the project would have been simpler than it would be today. Nevertheless, it is still doable. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to make something like this. Providing an instruction manual might get Simon in trouble. But with a few resistors, a couple of capacitors, output transistors, and some wire coils, the exact specifications of which can absolutely not be found at electronicshub.org, you could be traveling around in your own mobile phone-free bubble. Unfortunately, you probably wouldn't be able to do this for long, as jamming radio signals is illegal in most countries. But look on the bright side. If you are in prison, you won't have to worry about mobile phones at all. Unless, of course, mental Terry needs somewhere to hide his during a cell search and you become his storage unit of choice. And by his storage unit of choice, he means your arsehole up your bottom. Taser ring. I have felt the effects of a taser on 2 occasions. What the fuck? Why? And neither of those times involved a law enforcement officer. I've mentioned the first incident in a different Brain Blaze episode. Oh my god, I've completely forgotten.
Oh, shocker.
But if you haven't seen it, it involved a fairly ridiculous cattle prod fencing competition during a drunken party at my friend's dad's farm. Oh my lord. The second time was at another party. I'd fallen asleep on the sofa. Dude. And by falling asleep, Dave means passed out. And one of my so-called mates, who'd recently returned from a holiday in Spain with one of those tasers disguised as a mobile phone, oh my god, I remember those, decided that it'd find out whether or not it functioned as an effective alarm clock. It absolutely did. In spite of their many hilarious applications, a taser can also be used as an incredibly effective, non-lethal method of subduing an attacker. Unless, of course, you live in the UK, where a taser counts as a firearm, and being caught in possession one carries the same legal ramifications as, say, a handgun. I had no fucking idea. My wife's got a taser. I mean, I'm not getting her in trouble. I don't live in the UK. They're completely legal here. Kind of sensibly so. It's a great non-lethal deterrent. She's like, yeah, I could have pepper spray, but I just got a fucking bitch-ass taser. Like, so let's assume you are writing a story about a crime-fighting super legend who lives in the UK. Obviously, she or he wants to be equipped with various methods of defeating the street filth, but doesn't want the inconvenience of a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years every time she or he gets stopped by the old bill for a random stop and search. Yeah, as a testament to how random stop and searches are, I have never been stopped and searched. Just how, we must ask ourselves, could our fictitious crime fighter get around this problem? Well, one solution could be a taser ring. Fucking sick. Obviously, if your hero lived in America, they could just buy something like this, assuming they hadn't already received it for free with a packet of breakfast cereal. In the UK, though, they would have to go shopping for some PVC tubing and a disposable camera, and then just watch a video on YouTube by Jay Laser Video, which may or may not be called How to Make a Taser Ring, Kingsman's Spy Gadget. That's a good title. Sadly, this video does not contain spoken instructions, so I can't give you any more detail. However, I do know that inside disposable cameras, you can find a fairly sturdy capacitor. Yes, the flash. So I assume he uses this in order to deliver the required shock. Remember, kids, don't try this at home. Keylogger. You know how great Aunt Betty keeps all of her top secret recipes in a password protected folder on her computer? Annoying, isn't it? I mean, if you could somehow gain access to that password protected folder, then you could make all of that delicious food yourself without having to travel to Auntie Betty's house, sit through hundreds of mind-numbing stories about how she became a backgammon champion 10 years in a row. I like backgammon. Or hear the disturbing skin condition Uncle Bill has developed on his penis. Oh my lord.
It's weirdly specific.
I like backgammon, I don't like Uncle Bill's cock. How would it be if, while Aunt Betty was in the kitchen collecting the 9th pot of tea, you could quickly slide a USB thumb drive into her laptop, run a couple of batch files, and simply wait for her to enter the password herself? Unfortunately, this particular method does necessitate a return trip to Auntie Betty's. I had a fascination with this stuff when I was at university, and I went deep into learning about all of this stuff, and that's all I will say. But I promise you, once you perform the same trick again, this time quickly copying the log.png file from your secret software along with Auntie Betty's recipe folder to your memory stick, you too will be able to make those award-winning macaroons Yorkshire puddings that rise so well they're in danger of touching the top of the oven, and the sticky toffee pudding that convinced Uncle Bill to marry her in the first place. Jesus, I'm on a health kick. I could go for like a sticky toffee pudding right now. I had protein oats for breakfast and a turkey salad for lunch. I could go for some sticky toffee pudding right now. When you get home and plug the memory stick into your own computer, you'll find that the log.png file contains every single key entered onto Aunt Betty's laptop since you installed the software. Unfortunately, this does come with a risk. Although you will undoubtedly attain the password you require, it might be difficult to look at Auntie Betty and Uncle Bill the same way again at your next family wedding or funeral if it transpires they are, in fact, ghostwriters for extreme S&M pornography. All right, Dave. That's where your mind went. But just how would you go about doing this? Well, a quick Google search will provide you with many, many methods. Unfortunately, most of these methods will not work, will install some sort of virus, or if they do work, you may find that the log file is sent off across the internet into the inbox of someone hoping to steal more than just the recipe for Auntie Betty's secret gravy. Yeah, the better thing to do is replace the cable. Like, you could buy cables that have loggers in them. And I mean, most keyboards now, you can just connect them with a USB. You just get a USB cable that will have a keylogger built into it, and then you can just swap it out, and then when you get another opportunity, you can swap out the cable. You buy these on the internet, allegedly. If I were to recommend a good place to start, for the record, I'm not doing that, you could do worse than the article on thecomputerNoob.com. Not only did I definitely not try it out on an old laptop I had lying around, but the instructions can also be followed, as the website name suggests, by a proper computer noob. Good luck, and happy recipe stealing, because that's what you'll be doing. You'll be stealing those recipes. Bump keys. Oh, I don't have one of these.
I'm calling bullshit.
One of the many hobbies I've dabbled in over the years is the art of lockpicking. Although I never became good enough to get someone to pay me regularly for my skills, I have a sort of OCD thing when it comes to locks and keys, so finding out how different locks work and how they can be defeated is still an interest of mine when I have the time, yes. Allegedly, me too. The problem... This is fine. This is a legit hobby. Me too. The problem is, like many things, most movies do not accurately portray the art of lockpicking. This, unlike the inaccurate portrayal of firearms, please see the Brain Blaze episode, more things movies always get wrong for more details, actually makes sort of sense. I mean, it's probably not a great idea to accurately demonstrate lockpicking in a movie that might be seen by thousands of potential criminals, although it is not usually possible to open a complex lock in a matter of seconds using just a hairpin and the fluff of your pocket. It is fairly easy to make your own lockpicks and tension wrenches from sheet metal if you have the time and don't want to purchase them on Amazon. Yeah, they're super cheap though. You can get like a basic lockpicking set that will allow you to get into like something simple for like a few dollars. The trouble is, learning to pick locks proficiently takes time. Even people who are exceptionally good at it can take several minutes to open a good lock, and this is time you might not have as a super spy. Yeah, bump locks. Enter the bump keys. Enter the bump key. Assuming you have a rough idea of the sort of lock that you'll be picking, it's incredibly easy to purchase blanks online, something locksmiths will also sell if you ask them nicely, and file them down into an approximation of the right key. Then, when it's time to open the forbidden locked door, all you need is something to act as a makeshift spacer so that your key will slide back out of the keyway slightly after you push it, like a little rubber circle. And something such as a small hammer to repeatedly tap the key with as you attempt to turn it. If all goes well, your bump key will, bump the pins in the lock until they end up in the correct configuration and your door will open. While I've done my best to explain this process, there are two guys on YouTube, Bosnian Bill and the Lockpicking Lawyer, who can not only demonstrate this to you visually, but also take pains to explain just what sort of trouble you could get into if you misuse your newfound skills. Additional warning, although it is possible to buy an electronic bump gun, these are noisy as fuck and not helpful to your average spy. Smoke bombs. Here's your corrected text.
What?
Dave left in ChatGPT. Dave runs because, as we mentioned, Dave's blind, so sometimes you'll get before ChatGPT, Dave would send me a script, and it would kind of be mostly fine, but there'd be, because he uses a voice dictation thing, there'd be words that aren't quite right. Now he just runs it all through ChatGPT to fix it, and it's just perfect every time.
Is it, Logan?
So, you've broken into Auntie Betty's house with your bump key, stolen the information from her laptop using your keylogger, stunned her from behind with your taser ring, and jammed all mobile phone signals with a 10-meter radius. Now it's time for a traditional movie-style escape, and what better way to do that than with the deployment of a smoke bomb? Obviously, telling you how to make a smoke bomb for this purpose would be irresponsible. However, there are other people who use smoke bombs while carrying out their perfectly legal and legitimate work. Who the fuck's using smoke bombs other than the military? Obviously, movies. One group of individuals is chimney sweeps. All right. Oh, to see if it's working. That's clever, rather than starting a fire and waiting for the smoke. If, for example, a chimney sweep wanted to ensure there were no dangerous obstructions, they might use something akin to a smoke bomb. And for the budding chimney sweep among you, I present this recipe from an old chimney sweeps manual that I found. Mix 3 parts potassium nitrate and 2 parts sugar and heat gently until it forms a paste. Then place this paste into a mold and allow to set. That's it. Now you'll have a solid block which, when lit, will produce a frankly obscene amount of white smoke. You can also just buy these on the internet. They're not illegal and they're very cheap, allegedly. Unfortunately, although this is an extremely simple recipe, the problem may arise when you try to obtain large amounts of potassium nitrate. That can also be used to make bombs with diesel, right? I could also be wrong, but I'm fairly sure it can be used to make homemade explosives. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and Simon, brings us to the end of the episode. Before you go, just say that this is for entertainment purposes only. Yes, of course! You know what? Also for entertainment purposes only, the weekly live stream! The members live stream, which you can get as a member. Yes, please, sign up today. And I'll see you next time. Subject to status, terms and conditions apply.